Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Toontown Lego Master today, bringing you guys another video here. And today we're going to be looking into a build I've been highly anticipating. Not because of the pure power of the system, but the fact that the HP has squeezed this many parts into a pre-built system this big. And you're going to see it. And we go from pre-built to gaming system just by adding 2 parts that will let us do just that. So if you guys want to come along for the ride, sit right there, cue intro, and let's get going. So if you guys are wondering, like, what the hell are we looking at? Well, I'll tell you what. This here computer is called a Lenovo ThinkCentre M81 SFF. Or you can call it a ThinkCentre M81 SFF for short. I was really fortunate when deal hunting and decided to go to my university surplus, as I learned from the king of Macintosh hacking, Snazzy Labs. When he picked up that i7-3770 build, I believe was the CPU he used in his computer that he was able to get a hold of at his university, I was like, wow, you can get those at like a university? And he said in the title I only spent like $90. Man, I should do that. So that inspired me to head to my local university surplus, and what do you know? They had normal desktop Lenovo computers, old Dell Optiplexes SFFs, and desktop Dells that all probably had crappy i3s, i5s, and I was not after that. So after some searching in the surplus, of course, I came across a small SFF ThinkCentre M81, and I picked that up for around $60. But that was because I bought a table. So the head of the surplus was like, I'll discount you since it was closing time and, well, they have so much crap. So that's 2 of the reasons why he gave me the deal. They usually sell them for like $80 even if they have an i3. So, you know, make sure that if you're going to a surplus that you pick the best one, because they could be doing the same thing. I mean, they're just trying to get rid of their computers. They don't really care what's the most powerful. The school's already got 8 gen, 7 gen, maybe even 6 gen. I'm pretty sure they probably have like 6 gen right now. I don't think they have 8 gen. Why would they spend that much money? So this here will definitely be a replacement for any PS4, Xbox One, Wii U user out there, because you can hook up a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, making this like your own personal console, really. If you choose to hook up a controller, that is. Personal console controller. Get where I'm going. Otherwise, you can keep it as a game PC as you like from the comfort of your couch with like a wireless keyboard or mouse or whatever, which I wouldn't do that unless you had some kind of like small desk that you could put over your couch. So yeah. I decided to keep the disk drive, but if you wanted to put an extra HDD, you probably could with an adapter. You'd have to Google that further. I like to keep the disk drive because it's more valuable for the HTPC users out there, which if you didn't know, that stands for Home Theater Personal Computer. So yes, I could definitely slap a Blu-ray in that system if I wanted to, but the buyer of the system can do that later. It also can serve as a really portable gaming PC, but I only suggest taking out the HDD and the disk drive because they'll make the computer so heavy. But if you don't care, then you can keep them there. Okay, well, on to the upgrades. So I was up all night looking at classified ads, and it was really tough finding a really powerful GPU for the right price. But I ended up, after looking from the GT 1030 all the way to the 1050 Ti, decided to choose the 1050 Ti, as I ended up getting a low-profile GTX 1050 Ti for this build. Now, you may be wondering, why would you get a low profile? Well, the question isn't why would I have to. It's the only way to fit a GPU in this kind of build, small form factor. It's the only way. And boy, am I just as surprised as you as how well that thing fits in there. And I honestly think it's one of the most perfect GPUs for builds alike. And honestly, I think just buy it anyway, because even if you did put it in a desktop, you could sell it for more. Look at the 750 Ti small form factor. Those things still sell for like $150, $200 on eBay. It's absurd. It's a very powerful card that packs a punch and fits in such a small case. I'm talking about the 1050 Ti. If you know you're going to be stationary when using this computer at home, then you can buy a gaming PCIe riser, which will let you put any 10 series GPU from the from NVIDIA in your system. Only drawback would be power and leaving the GPU outside of the case unless you modded the inside. So that's why we had to go with the GTX 1050 Ti, and it's not a bad thing. In my opinion, it really justifies it for a build like this. It's just what you need for on-the-go or HTPC build. So one of the parts that I would really change in this build is definitely the 6-year-old HDD. It came out like in 2012, and it's just not cutting it for today's standards. Heck, man, I don't even think any HDD today would cut it for the standards of having Windows 10 and, just going through your daily operating system. So we opted for a 120 gigabyte Pinoy SSD that I got around for $33, and I know you can get them way cheaper now because SSD prices are just dropping. I guess they just have so much at Samsung and all the big SSD manufacturers. But the only way to put such a small drive in the system, and you may think, okay, well, it's a small case, small computer. Why do you need something else to fit a small drive inside? Well, it doesn't have built-in adapters in the hard drive caddy. So we had to buy a 2.5-inch to 3.5-inch internal HDD to SSD adapter mounting kit. And I'll leave that kit in the description below. For people that are curious as to where the hell you get one of those. I got mine off eBay for only $5, so it's not that bad. You can even put it in full ATX systems. So if you have like an old OEM, Dell, HP, or whatever that doesn't have SSD adapters for whatever reason, because I'm pretty sure SSDs came out in 2009 or whatever, but I guess they just weren't as common. More people were still getting HDDs because they're just way more cheaper. But yeah, you can put them in there, so that's pretty dope. So I ended up installing both the GTX 1050 Ti. In the beginning of the video, you noticed that, okay, well, there's no 1050 Ti, no SSD. We ended up installing those both because I had to wait for the 1050 Ti to come and the adapter to come, so I couldn't install them right away. We went from not even being able to play The Sims 4 at the best settings, but could play it, to being able to play every modern game out there. Such as Fortnite and PUBG, which is the only games I really have to test. And you could play them at decent settings, like as a medium to high, I would say, and even ultra if you wanted to. But of course, you're gonna have to, choose what you want. And the SSD made switching from applications and game load-in times faster, of course. But man, I gotta compliment the GTX 1050 Ti for how tiny and just how powerful it is. It just flies through games today and only uses a total TDP of 75 watts without using external power from the power supply. Again, another reason why we went with the GTX 1050 Ti. But enough mentioning about the GTX 1050 Ti. But if you head over to eBay or Amazon, this is just a list of a few. You can even put a GT 1030, which I mentioned earlier, which I put in another build, same exact Lenovo SFF that we're talking about with a 1030, and it ran fine. The only thing that didn't run fine was PUBG. You literally had to put the game at like 720p, all those settings. The game has been slightly more optimized, but again, I either go with a 1050 or a 1050 Ti. 1050 Ti being the best because it's really the only thing. If you don't want to be modding anything and just want to plug and play, that's the only way when it comes to SFF cases. Otherwise, you can, build a desktop and you don't have to worry about any of that, but whatever you want. This is just it's just one guide. I mean, there's many ways to do PC building. I just stick with a 1050 Ti for the clear difference, and it can run PUBG just so much better. For the CPU, there was already an i7-2600, which is why I went with this system. I actually used the same CPU in my build with i7-2600K, GTX 1070, and 16 gigabytes of RAM, clocked at 1600 megahertz, so not the same system, but slightly more better. and I can overclock my CPU and get way more out of it. So that's what I love about building a desktop. Anyways, on the go HTPC builds. This system, however, only has 8 gigabytes of DDR3. You can put up to like 16, I think maybe even 32, which is kind of insane for something this small to have that much RAM. So it will be good for video editing on the go. Light video editing, medium video editing, not like 4K. I mean, yeah, you could do it, but I don't know. I don't really video edit too much, but you can do it. So I would look up the rating speed for the RAM for this motherboard because I'm not 100% sure like what the rating is, but we went with 1330 megahertz of 8 gigabytes of DDR3. But with that said, the system is an overall awesome system, getting over 60 FPS, gaming really good settings. I only tested PUBG and Fortnite because those are, again, pretty much the only games I have or even want to play. If you wanted to have a more reliable power supply you can trust because you bought it and you can choose the rating, you can always swap it for a gold, bronze, silver rated power supply. And that's really the only thing I would swap out that's already pre-installed into the system. But I think, if they're making an SFF system, HP is making an SFF system, they're probably going to be putting a pretty good, not the best, but a pretty good, decent, because those SFF power supplies, man, they're pretty expensive. The same price you would pay like for a 750 watt power supply. So they're putting in something pretty good. I don't know what the wattage is for that thing, but it can handle 1030s, it can handle 1050 Ti's. If you want to put like a 1060 in there with the PCIe riser, then yeah, you're going to have to get a 300 watt solid and probably bronze rated or something like that, or even gold to be able to do that.
That's the part you always show. You're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious. That's the part you always show. You're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. We're dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. You search but you stay lost.
Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry if I'm going a little bit too fast. I already filmed this and then I have to film it again. It took me a while to get this video out, and it's honestly the first time I put more effort into a video. I'm actually using a script. That's why I'm not looking into the camera 100% of the time, but with my public speaking skills at school, I just, can still look at the camera every now and then, which is what I do in public anyway. Well, when it comes to school, like projects. And, that's what I put in the script. Yeah. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Comment, subscribe. See you next time. Peace.